Hi, my name is Jennifer Szczesniak, and I am going to tell you a little bit about AP statistics this year with me. So I am going to share my screen and we can look at a PowerPoint together. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. And sadly, with this summer, I didn't really get my act together and purchase a Kindle or some other type of e-reader. And so my usual trips to the library where I could read like 3 books a month, or 3 books a week, didn't happen. Instead, I borrowed some books from my mother or my sister and listened a bit more to NPR and podcasts and the like. I read the Tribune cover to cover, which made me feel like an old soul, and did some crossword puzzles to feed that verbal side of me. I also went on some bike rides. I would take walks to the post office with my husband, and my sons and I got into some gardening. So this is my 17th year at Lyons Township High School and my 16th year teaching AP statistics. I have a bachelor's degree in engineering from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, which explains why in my prior career I worked for General Motors. So I was an engineer for GM for a while, and while there, GM paid for me to get my master's degree from the University of Chicago. I went on to get my certified public accounting designation and became the budget director for GM. It was at GM that I used quite a bit of statistics in that budget director role, and why I was such a natural fit for teaching this class when I came to LT. My job at GM was being moved to Detroit, and so I made the decision to make a career change and stay here in the LaGrange area. My 2 adult sons that graduated from Lyons Township High School, where they received an excellent math and science education, and one of them is a graduate with an electrical engineering and computer science degree, and the other one is a senior in civil and construction engineering. So the place where we start every course, I believe this fall of 2020, is on Canvas, and AP Statistics is no different. And what you're looking at here is the homepage for AP Statistics, and it very clearly says Zoom links here. Coming soon, the October calendar, it's kind of under construction. We'll be working on that. And then we have some links to very common things that are referred to all year and that don't really seem relevant to a calendar. So if we go to the day-by-day calendar, it's organized as follows. We have the dates on the left-hand side, and then my class is listed in the first column because that's in the morning block, and Mrs. Walsh's classes are listed in the afternoon. We have links in there to worksheets or that we will do in class. We have links to Canvas quizzes like this one right here. And we even have links to Canvas videos, YouTube videos that we may have made. For example, today I made a video on how to graph a box and whisker plot in your calculator and how to calculate standard deviation 2 ways, by hand and with your calculator. And those videos will just sit on our Canvas page for students to go back and refer to as necessary. So by the time you read this, your student will have probably spent a good bit of time learning this software package called Fathom. And that brings me to this page right here. The software that we use in stats, of course, we use the common software platforms of Canvas and Zoom and the G Suite of Gmail and Google Docs. But in our class, Fathom is a special software program that's kind of like Excel, except it's much easier to make graphs and there are a greater variety of graphs. So the College Board requires that students do quite a bit of data analysis and use one of a couple different software packages, and that's this Fathom. Your student was sent a link to the software download, which is good for the entire school year. And about 2/3 of the kids were able to get Fathom on their home PC. For the third of the students who weren't able to, because Fathom only works on like a 64-bit encryption, it's kind of over my head, but because Fathom only works on certain types of computers, about 1/3 of the students were able to pick up a computer with Fathom specifically loaded on it from LT. So everybody has access to the software, and we will use it for many of our labs throughout this COVID period where we are not in the classroom. And even if we had been in class, we use Fathom quite often. I think somewhere on the order of 30 different days in the computer lab for the school year. The last software package that we use is from AP Central College Board. The College Board has made hundreds and hundreds of AP statistics questions available to all students who have registered for the course in order to provide some equity. And we ask that our students are no different and that they log on or join actually this thing called their AP classroom. And for my third period, here is the join code down in the corner, QQM4. If your child is taking many AP classes, they will have to join each of those classes separately. So there's a join code for English and a join code for, say, AP Bio, a join code for AP Statistics, a join code for Calculus, etc. And what it allows us to do as instructors is to pick, most typically we will pick free response questions for students to answer. And they type their answers directly in online, and then I'm able to grade them online and provide feedback against an AP rubric, which is a wonderful way to practice for the exam eventually in May. Regardless if your child decides to take the exam in May, whether they sign up now or before November 13th, or maybe they change their mind and ask for their money back, in April. This portal, which allows us to practice concepts, is still going to be used. It's not just paying for the exam. At this point, we have already completed some labs, and one of them is matching graphs with possible real-life scenarios. We provided students with these dot plots and said, which of these scenarios would represent this data. And it involves some critical thinking about would this situation, say, weight, is it discrete chunky numbers that only occur ending in a zero, like 120, 130, 150? Is it possible to have multiple values at that location? Is it right skewed? Is it left skewed? Is it symmetric? And so forth. And then explain why. We did a lab where we compared the accuracy of measuring two different lengths, 1 foot and 1 meter. And we spent over a week describing large data sets, which is the Lagrange census. And that is using Fathom in that situation. So here were a couple of the graphs where we asked the students to describe the scenario. And I'll give you a moment to kind of think about, well, what situation might look like that? So in the first situation, the answers are whole numbers, but whole numbers that move in increments of 1, starting at 19 and ending at 40. And the answer was the age at which a woman has her first child. And some of the students went to the internet and said, oh, I Googled the answer. The average age for a first child is 27. And lo and behold, that's right here. And that's the center of our distribution. So it all makes sense. The second situation here of graph covers a much smaller range of data, only 1 through 7. And there are no values in between. So they're integer values. And interestingly enough, there's no 0 integer value. So what these represent is the margin of victory at baseball games. So if the Chicago Cubs played the St. Louis Cardinals and the score was 4-3, then the difference between the final score, 4-3, is 1. And so that outcome would have been here in this first column. Our first test is scheduled for, I believe, the week of the 15th, but I'm making this video in advance, so that still may change a bit. It will involve 3 multi-step problems, short essay, free response-ish, kind of those multi-step problems. We expect students to write their work on a piece of paper and then they take pictures and upload it. And it covers chapters 2 through 6. The concepts of 2 through 6 are all about graphical displays and describing data. So describing the data, calculating outliers for the data, which is a specific kind of, an oddball value, and z-scores. You can reach me as well as your students via email. I've already demonstrated to the kids that I am available to answer email just about all times, evenings, weekends, holidays, except I pretty much stop between 9:30, definitely by 10 o'clock until 6 o'clock in the morning. So if they're night owls, they won't get an answer from me until the morning. And I just look forward to another great year teaching AP Statistics. It's one of my favorite classes.